Welcome to the Speaker Meeting, a space where we break the silence one story at a time. Every episode, you'll hear from someone who's been there, through the struggle of addiction, the turning point into recovery, and the journey after. Because no matter where you are, you're not alone. Recovery is possible, and hope is real. My hope is that by sharing these stories, you'll believe it to be true. My name is Chibbi. My sobriety date is April 5th, 2024, and this is the Speaker Meeting.
Okay. Hooty-hoo! I am Ebony Rose, your favorite poet and publisher here in Houston, Texas, and my sobriety date is December 5th, 2023.
Well, thank you so much for being with us here today, with me, with all of me, and everyone watching.
You, yourself, and you.
So many of me for being here. Before we get started, a practice that I've incorporated into these sessions is pulling a tarot card as a kind of like grounding and guiding principle. And I usually have our guest pull the card for us, but since this is virtual, I randomly pulled one for us. Okay. And the card that I pulled is the Queen of Swords. And so
tell me more.
Yes. Which kind of looks like you, just a little bit.
It's the queen, baby.
It's the Queen of Swords. So the Queen of Swords is clear, honest, and direct. She's been through pain, but she doesn't let it cloud her judgment. She uses it to sharpen her truth. This card invites us to speak plainly, to honor our boundaries, and to lead with integrity. And in recovery, it's a reminder to be honest with ourselves and others, even when it's uncomfortable. So I'm curious, how has truth played a role in your recovery, and what has it meant to you to find your voice or to use it differently than before?
Ooh, okay. So truth has been, I know it's a cliche, it's, truth shall set you free, but it really did. Like the truth about what alcohol was doing to my body, what alcohol was doing to my life, how it was impacting me and those around me. Like being honest with myself, like, okay, this is a problem. This is an Ebony Rose problem. This is not like a everybody else problem. This is a me problem. So that's what the truth did, put me on the path of sobriety, like being honest and upfront with myself. So it definitely played a key role. And what was the second part of the question?
What has it meant to find your voice or to use your voice differently than before?
Oh, man. So to find my voice was accepting the truth to the next level. So it's like walking in that truth, because it's something for me to embrace it internally, but for me to speak it aloud and say it so where other people can hear, it's like it makes me even more bound to what that truth is. So speaking out, I've started back doing poetry. Happy National Poetry Month. And so that put me back into like what I love to do. I feel like I probably had like this shame because of my alcoholism that made me be more recluse and like more into myself, to where I was stopped even doing poetry. I was just like, I just want to chill at the house, me and my drink. And so that using my voice made me stand in my truth even more.
Yeah. Oh my God. And these cards spill all the tea, because like the fact that this card was pulled for a poet, right? That's all about speaking truth to power and clarity and directness. But I'm sure we'll get into a lot of that truth facing, right? And coming to terms with our truth in your story. But let's take it back and start at the beginning. What was your relationship like to substances or addictive behavior like in the beginning, and how did that evolve over time?
Well, in the beginning, I will have to say, like, I dived in head first. Okay. Like, I started drinking my absolute first day on campus, on a college campus, like the first day. Like, we're moving in our items, like into our freshman dorm. And this is the first day that I ever was drunk in my life. Like,
Wow.
it was a whirlwind. Okay. It was like, what? Yeah, I remember it was some frat boys. They asked me and my friends if we wanted to come to like a day party. It was like in the middle of the day. We're moving. It's like noon, 2:00. And so it's like, okay, sure. So we ended up going to this party where it's like, and we're just drinking. And this is my first time drinking. I don't even know what the word limits even means, right? And so, oh my God, it was a fail of epic proportions. Like, I don't even think I have time to tell the full story. But the story ends with me crying on the phone to my mom, thinking I am about to be up out of here. I'm very sure on that day I had alcohol poisoning, but none of us knew how to manage that or what to do.
Yeah.
And because the first time drinking was so horrible, you would think it would give me an aversion. No, it made it be like this adversary or that I needed to defeat or whatever. It was just so horrible. And so it has always been kind of like a valve that I wasn't able to turn off. It's like once I start drinking, it's just over. Like, I need more and more and more. Like, really that scene of like a kid in a candy store, like, ooh, give me that. Ooh, they got free shots. Give me that shot, Jello shots. Like, I always went overboard, like fast and quick.
Yeah.
Overboard.
Yeah. I can relate. My first time drinking, I wasn't planning on drinking, but then I finished my drink and then decided I had to have something from everyone's drink. Like, I needed to know what everyone was drinking that night and what that was like. And similar to you, it wasn't pretty. I'm curious. So you said, your first time drinking was like your first day moving into the college dorm. So like before then, was it just... like, was it a lack of desire? Was it a lack of availability? Was it, did you live a very sheltered, childhood, if you had like no exposure to it beforehand?
Well, beforehand, I would guess you could say like it wasn't like a custom for children to drink, right? So before going to college, it was like, okay, I'm a child at home, and we know, and my mom doesn't drink. And so we never had like alcohol or liquor at home. I never saw my mom drink. I would see like my aunties and my cousins drink and stuff like that. But yeah, it was just like, it wasn't even a thought, honestly, like while I was in high school. So it's like, oh, but then when we went to, college and freshman, it's like, okay, like, sure, even though we were under 21 at the time, it still was like, oh, okay, like the idea was introduced, and then it's like, sure. But before then, it wasn't even part of the process. Like, it wasn't accessible. I was kind of sheltered, but there were like very strict boundaries. Like, you don't let kids drink. Whatever, so.
Yeah, for sure. So then you get to college on that first day. You said it was almost like opening a valve of sorts, right? What did that experience just kind of like unlock in you? What did that?
Oh my God! Like this, it seems like this bottomless pit, like. I honestly feel I could pour all the alcohol in the world into this bottomless pit and it still will not be full. It's just like, it just unlocked a vicious cycle as well. Like, introduced me to a part of myself that I wasn't able to control, and let me know, like, it put a light on just my addictive personality, like just different traits I have, to where I'm like, oh, okay. It seemed like one drink was never enough. Two was always too many. Okay, because once two happened, then I would lose count, and then it would just be a whirlwind from there.
Yeah. And did that how did that progress throughout your college life? Because you had just gotten to college, right? So how did that evolve throughout your academic life there?
So that evolved because it seemed like on campus initially there was always two choices. Like, are you a drinker or a smoker? It was like you had to pick one or the other. And so I was like, okay, drinking seems like more fun. At least it's kind of legal or whatever the case may be. And so the progression was like, okay, when we had the drinking parties, then I had to go to all of the drinking parties on campus. Every fraternity has like their specialty drink, right? And so I had to try all of the fraternity specialty drinks, which always were trash can punch. And all the drinkers know what trash can punch is, right? But I don't care what color it was. It was red, it was pink, it was purple. It was just for the different fraternities, but it was still always trash can punch. I wasn't even aware of the different types of liquor at the time, or the difference between like top shelf and everything else. So I was out here, Lord, y'all, I was out here drinking MD 2020, like, because the corner store by the campus would let us buy it. It was crazy. Oh, that was also during the time of Four Lokos. Oh my God. The original Four Lokos.
Right. The ones they ended up changing because the formula was whack.
Man, when I tell you, it was just horrible. It just seemed like every night out would end up with me just in a drunken stupor or a drunken outburst or like drunken vomiting everywhere, like, but always drunken something.
Yeah.
So, and it just seemed like that became the norm.
Yeah. Because there's
and then I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. You go.
I was going to say, then, like, once I graduated, it just, like, kind of continued to progress from there.
Yeah. Well, and definitely in college, there's, that kind of that's kind of socially acceptable almost, right? And not just acceptable, but encouraged sometimes to, like, get that drunk on the regular. Was it... did you find that it was interfering with your life in any way, or was it like, I'm going to go get crazy drunk and then I'm going to wake up the next day and go to class and, move on,
Yeah, in college, it really didn't affect me that much, even like with the hangovers, because the thought was, okay, just start drinking again and then you'll start to feel better, right? Let's have some mimosas, and then we forget that was even hungover because now we're back on our way to being drunk. Yeah. So it was just, and the crazy thing, Chibbi, is that it didn't even cross my mind to stop.
Yeah.
Right? It just became part of my functioning adult life.
Yeah. And again, because in college, there's often that culture of like, this is just what we do, right? So then you mentioned you graduated college, and then that kind of continued, What
I can remember when I first graduated, it still wasn't that bad, because when I first graduated, I came back home. And again, like, my mom doesn't drink or anything like that. So it would be maybe when I would go out with my friends, I have like a drink or two and then, be back home. Or some nights I would just go get me a Four Loko from the corner store. What's something else we would drink? No, I think it was just, Four Lokos. And then that's also when they started to come out a little bit with like the Lime-A-Ritas and all of those things. And so I grabbed those, still very light, very light. But I can say yeah, about 2010, it's like kind of like when it shifted and I started to like buy liquor, right? And I started to buy liquor because I started doing the math and it just seemed like it was just more cost efficient to buy my own bottle versus going out and buying bottles. I'm like, hold on, wait. So if I get a drink at the store at the club, that's going to be $17, but I can get a whole bottle for $20.
Yeah.
So then it just started to be like, okay, now we drink before we even go, then we may get like one. It just started to be overwhelming in a way to where like drinking was the nucleus, the center of everything that I did. Like, oh Lord, I'm thinking about it now because then that progressed to, okay, I have a job. We put in liquor in our slushies, like just, yeah. Nowhere was like off limits in a way to like drinking. We're drinking everywhere.
Yeah, it becomes the priority. Spoken like a true alcoholic, it's much more rational, right? To just buy a bottle and, carry that around with you or drink beforehand so that when you're out, you only have to have one because you're already pretty wasted. So then you said that it basically was just all the time, you're doing it at work. Like when did you start to notice like, or even consider the idea of like, maybe I should stop, or maybe there's a problem here, right?
I started thinking that, okay, maybe there's a problem when everyone else started mentioning it like it was a problem, So this is probably maybe like around 2015-ish. Oh my God, that's 10 years ago. Yeah. But yeah, like 2015-ish, me and my sister was staying together. And so she would see me more often, right? And so since we were staying together, like she would started to mention to me that it was seeming like it was an issue or that it was making her worry. Or whatever the case may be. And now me and my sister are really close. And so I started to consider it then, but then I also feel like maybe she was exaggerating, right? Like come on now. It's not like I'm drinking every day, but then it was like, yo, I'm drinking every day. Where I worked was pretty far from my house at one point in time. And so this is when I thought like, oh, okay, this may be a problem. I wanted to go to happy hour so I wouldn't sit in traffic. Right. And so while I'm at the happy hour, like with the money that was in my pocket, I could either get a drink or I could get some of the wings. Okay. And just for context, I was hungry on this day and I chose to drink. Okay. Over the wings. And that's kind of like one of those things that sat with me for a minute. Like, I chose to get something to drink over getting something to eat. Yeah. When I was hungry. Yeah. So like it was more so to me like breadcrumbs that kind of led me to accepting that truth that I had a problem. But it was like a long time. Like time span, but it would be like certain things that would stand out that made me be like, even though I may not have just made a change at that moment, it did kind of like raise a red flag for me. Yeah. I can't tell you the number of times that I was like, I'm hungry. I should take a shot. That'll fix it. It's just like, because after a few shots, I wouldn't even think about being hungry anymore. Exactly. So you were saying kind of like little breadcrumbs, right? What was like that time span? Was that like a year, a couple years, a couple months, right? Like when it was like a couple of years. I would have to say if that was like 2015, I did stop drinking for, I believe, like a year. And that was 2019 to 2020. 2020 is like when COVID happened.
Yeah.
And then, I was like, oh, I can order alcohol now? Oh, okay. But 2019, so 2015 to 2019, I would have to say there were different breadcrumbs along the way that made me be like, like maybe this is a problem.
Yeah.
You know, like there was one instance to where I had went to a friend's house. We were chilling and drinking, and when I woke up the next morning, I was in my car with my shirt off and with the window down in front of a Barnes and Noble. I have no idea of how I got over there or anything. And so that was one of those breadcrumbs that made me be like, whoa, yeah, like this is kind of dangerous here.
Yeah.
You know, like, so that was one thing. And so I stopped for a year then, 2019 to 2020. But then once COVID came, it was like a different type of access for me.
Yeah.
As far as, hey, the world may end any moment now. Give me a Hennessy neat, thank you.
Yeah.
Because that whole plan went out the window. And also at the time, I was in this crazy relationship that was stressing me out beyond belief. Okay, and so at the time, it felt like alcohol would help.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember those times, and walking, coming downstairs every morning and thinking to myself, do I go left to the coffee maker or do I go right to the freezer for the tequila? What kind of day am I trying to have here?
What kind of day we gonna have
in this pandemic? So about 4 years of like little red flags here and there that are signaling to you like this might be more than just a casual drinking thing. And then the pandemic hits, things get real rough. What was the moment or the series of moments that made you decide, oh, I need to stop. Maybe I need help. This ain't right.
It was just like all these snapshots kind of like ran in front of my face of like all these moments where I was like insanely drunk, right? Just out of my mind, and just all these moments where something really bad could have happened to me. 3, if I'm not mistaken, there's like 3 that stand out. And it was just like one day, like kind of like just randomly flashed or whatever. It was like one day I was at a TSU homecoming, and I can swear it does not feel like I drunk that much because like I'm a drinker. I know how much I drink, whatever. But I was at the TSU homecoming. I had somewhere to be like in a couple of hours. So I told my friends I can hang out with them probably like an hour or so. Boom. Okay, my hour is up. I'm trying to make it back to my car. I never make it back to my car. I end up passing out on the sidewalk. Okay, it's still broad daylight outside, but I'm right next to my car though. Like, kid you not, sidewalk, and where I'm parked at, I'm laid out right next to my car. And so then it's like all these people are walking by. Are you okay? They're trying to make me alert. And the only person's phone number I know is my sister's. And so after a couple of calls, because she doesn't answer unknown numbers, she finally answered. And so she came to rescue me and put me in the backseat of my car. Mm-hmm. So that was one, because that was just like insane. Like, whoa, like anything could have happened to me. I could have been kidnapped. Who knows? It could have been chopped up into little bit of pieces and just totally unaware. Yeah. And then there was another moment. This is more of a drinking and driving instance where I had went out with a friend, met up with a friend, and we were taking shots in the parking lot. We went inside, we got some crawfish. It was drinking with our crawfish. Got to have crawfish in a daiquiri. Like, it just go hand in hand, right? And then I think we were drinking a little bit after that. And on my way home, and then I still got behind the wheel, and then on the way home, I'm like on 288, which is something that's like a freeway here that's typically like pretty busy. and I blinked for probably 5 minutes, like a 5-minute blink. And then when I opened my eyes, like just when I opened my eyes, I was about to, like I was headed for the concrete like siding on the freeway. And I opened my eyes like just in time. And I'm blessed to say, like, for this particular moment, there were no other cars on the freeway, like at all. It was just me. And that moment, I was like, "Ooh, I have to do something with my life with this." And then, like, the third thing that just stands out there was made me be like, you know what? Nah, we got to do something else. Like, this is not it. This is not a good look. This is not in alignment with what I want my life to look like or what I want my life to be. And it was another night. I had my whole Friday evening. It was a Friday evening. I had it all planned out. Like, when I got off, I was gonna chill, have me order me some crawfish. Crawfish is my thing. Order me some crawfish. I already had some Hennessy chilling in the freezer, and then I was gonna have my Hennessy, my crawfish, and my Game of Thrones, and just chill out for the evening. And I stayed right across the street. Lord Jesus, I stayed right across the street from a liquor store. Like, I'm talking about right across the street on my lunch break. Again, it was Friday. On my lunch break, I ran across the street. They already knew what I wanted as soon as I came in because they saw me way too often. I had to start telling them, look, if you see me coming here, just tell me no. Okay? Just tell me no. Tell me to go home. Because this was like the time where it's like, I want to stop. I know I need to stop, but I can't stop right at that moment. And so I already had my Hennessy in the fridge chilling. I had opened it already on my lunch break. So I had already been drinking since lunch. So from lunch to 5 o'clock. Then my friend, she hit me up and was like, hey, come out, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. Because I know at the time, my friend was having a hard time and I wanted to be there to support her. And so I said, okay. Oh my God, I should have stayed home, okay? So when I got there, I told her to have me a shot of Hennessy waiting. She did, and because I always go overboard, I probably ordered like another 3 shots. And when it was time to leave, I couldn't find my car. My phone died. My friend disappeared. I had to use the bathroom. It was like a whole bunch of things happening at one time. And then it was kind of cold. Okay. You know, it was one of those random nights in Houston where it was chilly. And oh my God, I peed on myself. I'm out here crying because my car got towed. I don't know if my car was towed or stolen at the time. My phone is dead. It's like maybe 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm just like, out there in the world, just totally just lost in the sauce. And so I end up behind a radio station here called KCOH. I end up behind KCOH and I'm just sitting on the ground because I feel so defeated. Because, like, what am I supposed to do right now? And I'm just crying. Because I'm drunk as well, right? And just like, oh my God. And thankfully, the parking lot attendant took my phone and put it on the charger. She also called a Uber for me. Okay. And asked me, like, what's my address? I'm kind of coherent, but not really. And so then she called me Uber. And then the Uber comes. But I ended up getting into an altercation with the Uber driver 9 times out of 10 because I'm drunk or whatever. And so they ended up pulling over on the side of the road, and I ended up having to call a Lyft instead to come and get me because he said he was calling the police. And so those things, I was like, so all these moments, because I was standing in my kitchen and I'm talking to God and like I'm expressing my frustrations about like where I am in life, right? Like at that point in time in my life, it's like, why am I here and not here? Like my desired place to be in life. Like, why am I not there when I've done all of these things? Like I've done everything, quote unquote, I'm supposed to do. So what's up? You know, in a way I'm kind of upset. and angry with God. And then I hear God tell me, well, I bet you if you stop drinking for a year, right, that your whole life will look differently, pretty much. And I said, okay, bet. Because I was tired of drinking anyway. It was like, I'm tired of it, but I didn't know how to necessarily stop it. Because I have been a drinker pretty much my whole entire adult life. It was part of who I was, like part of my daily routine. So I didn't know how to stop. Like I said, I would go to the liquor store, but I didn't necessarily want to.
Yeah.
But then it was like, what else do I do? And so I would just go to my normal default setting, which was just go to the liquor store, give me some Hennessy and root beer, call it a night. So all of these moments just compiled together and made me be like, okay, let me see if I can do it. Go 365 days without drinking.
Yeah.
But in this time, because I stopped drinking, but like for a year before, but this time it just felt different. Like when I made the declaration that, okay, I wasn't going to drink. And I didn't even know if I would make it past a year. Like, because at day one, I just said, okay, I can commit for a year. And then but I'm not trying to be sober for the rest of my life. That's how it started off.
Yeah.
Right. Then like maybe 2 to 3 months into my sobriety, I'm like, oh man, I really like this. Like, I have more money. I have more time. I have more energy. My skin is clearing up. I'm able to think more clearly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I feel healthier. I feel good. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, cool. And then I started finding like alternatives like mocktails and things like that. And I was like, okay. So like about 6 months into it, I'm like, I can imagine a life without drinking. Before then, it's like I could not even imagine going like the rest of my life without having something to drink.
Yeah.
I'm like, what I'm supposed to have with a nice dinner? What am I supposed to do? You know what I'm saying? How am I supposed to celebrate my birthday?
Yeah.
What if when people get married, how do we continue to celebrate? And knowing that, to me, I had to, I think what's been a key part in my success so far, because again, it is something that's day by day, but like so far, I would say I had to personify alcohol into a person. And this person is like a friend of me, right? Like they want to get you all hyped up to go out and then to embarrass me. Or you want to, tell me, like encourage me to do these things and then shame me for doing these things, and then I'm drinking again. It's like you mean no good to me. Like you're only harmful. Like it's like if this was a person doing these actions, I would be like, you know what? You have to kick rocks. And so I had to really take a look and survey what alcohol was taking away from me, because I'm thinking, right, the illusion is that it's giving me fun, it's giving me relaxation, it's giving me the creative inspiration.
Yeah.
But all of that is a lie.
Yeah, very much so. And it sounds like confronting a very hard truth, right? So you said you had this conversation with God, right? And this realization, this like you heard God speak to you, say like try without a year. How did you just like stop, or what helped you stop and stay off of it?
I gave myself a date, December 5th. I can't even remember what made me choose December 5th out of all days. I honestly don't know what made me choose that day. But I said, okay, I picked a day. I said, okay, this is going to be my last day drinking. And me personally, I like to challenge myself, right? And like, okay, and then let's see what's happening at the end of these 365 days, okay? Because now I'm excited. I gave myself something to look forward to. And yeah, I just stopped drinking. Like I just took it a day at a time. What I did before then, I started to save the bottles of liquor that I had bought over, like, so when I decided to stop probably was maybe like August.
Mm.
And then, you know, I actually stopped in December. And so I said, okay. So the bottles that I bought in that time span, I kept them to give myself a visual, a tangible visual of how much I was actually drinking.
Yeah.
Because I think I'm such an out of sight, out of mind type of person. So if I'm not going through all of my Uber Eats transactions and seeing how many times I'm ordering from the liquor store, like, it's like I honestly am unaware. Or if I'm throwing away every bottle when I complete it, it's like the bottles didn't even happen. So I started collecting them. And then on December the 5th, when I put that last bottle up there, it just blew my mind how many bottles were there. To give me kind of a reminder of how much of a problem this is for me. Drinking is not a problem for everyone. It's a problem for me, however.
Yeah.
And to see the evidence, like I had to have like an exhibit A right there in my face. Like, it's only been a couple of weeks and this is how much, and this is not even, it wasn't even factoring in just going out for drinks and stuff. But this is how much poison. This is like, words are very powerful for me, especially as a poet, to where I had to call it what it was for me. Like, this is poison.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And even you think about it, like, even when you're out drinking, they say pick your poison.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, so that's like,
you had to be clear, honest, and direct, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just cut out the bullshit, right? And call it what it is.
And call it what it is. And so that was very, very important for me to call it what it was, because without that, I'm living a lie. I'm lying to myself.
Yeah.
And that's how I think my drinking was able to continue the way that it did, because I lied to myself so much, so well. I knew exactly what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
But yeah, clear and honest. And I was like, I'm not going to put these toxins in my body, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then, as I stated earlier, I thought about where I was in life and where I wanted to be, and like striving to be my best self. I'm sorry, being my best self is not drinking at 6 a.m. like, or drinking throughout the whole day. Like from 6 a.m. through my whole work shift, and then after work, like that's not going to get me to where I want to be, like professionally or personally. So it was one of those things, again, being able to personify it as a friend of me. Like sometimes, you know, there's people who are no longer good for you. Like you're no longer a good fit. You may have even known them for a long time. In my case, I've known alcohol since I was 18.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like, we've been together a long time, but longevity is not a factor when you're trying to go to the next level in your life. Sometimes that's when you have to release people who you've known the longest, like your childhood best friend, but y'all go in two totally different directions. And so with that, it made it easier for me.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, one day I was in the shower and it kind of scared me, because I was thinking about like, man, this is easier than I anticipated it to be, because alcohol is one of those substances that our bodies become so dependent on, right? And because it was a part of like my daily life, I was expecting it to be so much more difficult than it was. And so one day I'm thinking about it, and then God is like, do you think you're doing this by yourself? Like, you don't think other people are praying for you? Because again, like, everyone else could see that it was a problem for me, but I couldn't see that at the time. And so afterwards, after I had that moment, I reached out to my sister and asked her, like, what was her prayer for me? And she let me know she had been praying about it, but she also let me know that she knows, like, I'm an adult and I'm going to make my own decisions, but, you know, she can't stress about what I'm going to do, but it definitely was a problem.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, okay. And I know that's not everyone's experience, but that's just how like my experience has been. And then I started to find purpose in my sobriety, right? I did an interview on my my first soberversary, 365, December 5th, at that same radio station, KCOH, that I was drunk behind. I actually had interned there when I graduated college. It's just funny, like how these different pieces of the puzzle connect together.
Yep.
But I ended up doing doing an episode to celebrate. And, everyone was like, people were telling me even before then, like my sobriety was encouraging them, or my sobriety was at least making them sober curious, or like they want to stop, or ask me for tips and things that made me feel like it became bigger than me. Because I never started this to be a sobriety spokesperson. That was not, I didn't even want to put that label on myself. Again, it started off as an experiment, as a challenge. Let me see if I can do it.
Yeah. Well, that's incredible. And kind of like how you said, it's, there were other people, like, even though they weren't physically present, right? There was still other forces at play, other energies that were feeding into that. So then what does life in recovery look like for you today, and how do you keep moving forward?
Oh, today. See, okay. So for me, what keeps me moving forward again is realizing that it's bigger than me, and that I like my life more. I like who I am more sober versus being drunk all the time, versus not. There's always a story about Ebony Rose the next day. Like, I don't want to be that character. I don't want to be the jester. Like, I'm not signing up for that. And loving myself enough to pull myself out of that role, because I think sometimes we become attached to who we think people want us to be. Yeah. Not even who they say they want you to be, just who you think they want you to be. Or feeling like I had to be the entertainment. Like, chill out. Yeah. So right now, life looks like more focused. I'm definitely more healthy. On this journey so far, I've lost over 50 pounds. I completed the 75 hard challenge. It's like I'm healthier, because I have an addictive personality type of characteristic. I turned it to things that are healthier for me. And also shifted my focus to be just on my business, Ignited Inc. 717. And that's my life, like working out, going to work, working on things, creating. Like, I'm getting back into creating and loving poetry, and just performing again, using my voice again. Also, because again, I did not set out to be the sobriety spokesperson. But it looks like I am becoming the sobriety spokesperson. So because of that, I was like, okay, let me get some type of credentials. Let me get some tools, some resources to help people around me from when they come out to me. So currently I'm getting my sober life coaching certificate, or certified to be a certified sober. I'm sorry, what is it? Because they got so many different names. To be a certified sobriety coach. Okay. And so I'm starting this thing called Sober Gang. And the Sober Gang is just people who are sober or sober curious, and they want to know more about alcohol or just about different substances, because we are always taught, okay, don't do drugs. This is your brain on drugs, whatever. But we never talk about, or at least I've never heard it explicitly discuss, the effects of alcohol on our bodies, on our brains, like our physical brains. And so just to share tips, techniques, and teachings to help people, because for me, it's like the more information I learned really about alcohol, it made it less appealing to me.
Yeah.
Like, alcohol does what? To your liver, and then also your heart and your brain. Like, why don't we talk about this? So.
Capitalism.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
And so it just looks like that, me being more focused on that, getting that sobriety coach certification, again, to make sure I'm equipped to help people around me.
Yeah, well, that's amazing. And it's so great that you've decided to do something to help other people, right? Are you ready to get into some rapid fire?
Oh, okay. Let me get my vest. I'm ready.
It's not that serious. It doesn't have to be rapid. But all right, fill in the blank. Recovery has given me
energy.
What's one word you'd use to describe your recovery journey?
Peaceful.
What's a daily habit or ritual that keeps you grounded?
Working out.
If you find yourself struggling or triggered, what's the first thing you do?
Pray.
This or that, morning routine or night routine?
Morning.
Meditation or movement?
Movement.
Talking it out or writing it down?
Writing it down.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Name one book, song, or movie that's been meaningful to your recovery.
Ooh. There's this song, it's called Never Drinking Again, and it's kind of like a country song. And she be like, I'm never drinking again. Like, so that's like one of those songs that kind of like puts me in the vibe and remember my commitment to myself.
Yeah, right on the money. What's a piece of advice you return to when things get tough?
Take it a day at a time.
One phrase or mantra that keeps you going.
At the end of the day gonna end.
And if someone hears your story today and takes one thing away from it, what do you hope it is?
Life without alcohol is possible.
Awesome. Well, Ebony Rose, thank you for taking the time to share your story here with us today. It means a lot. And I'm just so grateful to have you here and to hear about where you're at these days and what you're doing.
I'm very happy as well. Thank you for having me. Thank you for starting this. Okay, Chibbi, like it's right on point. Like it's in alignment. Like I was talking about earlier about what I was doing, my behaviors were not aligning with where I wanted to be in life.
Yeah.
But this is so in alignment for me. Like tomorrow, I'll make 500 days sober.
Yeah.
Okay. And so when I saw the invite, I was like, hold on, wait, Chibbi, this is perfect. This is right on time.
Let's do it.
I'm very happy to be here and to be telling this story. I saw, like right when you made that post, I saw this story about this lady who was drinking and driving, and she ended up killing 2 teenagers, and she was totally unaware. So they're telling her, and she's breaking down. And while I'm watching this video, I'm just thinking about all the times that could have been me.
Yeah.
But because of, choosing sobriety, like I have a different future ahead. So hopefully that encourages someone.
I hope so too. Very much so. So thank you. That's it for this episode of The Speaker Meeting, breaking the silence one story at a time. A huge thank you to our guests today for sharing their journey with us. Recovery isn't easy, but conversations like this remind us that we're not alone and that change is possible. If you're struggling, know that there is help and there is hope. You don't have to do this alone. For immediate support, you can reach out to the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration Helpline at 1-800-662-HELP. That's 1-800-662-4357. It's free, confidential, and available 24/7. And if you'd like to share your own story, I'd love to hear from you. You can submit your information at geminisproductions.com/thespeakermeeting. And if this conversation meant something to you, help us spread the word. Subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who might need to hear it. The more we talk about recovery, the more we remind people that they are not alone. Thank you for listening, and until next time, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and remember, recovery is real.